Stu, did you see these ads in the back of Racer X? Got the vintage vault. It's got Vinco back there. Teddy Boyko's gotten out of here, a few other guys. We're going to have an ad back there next month. I think it's in next month's edition. Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, and I'm your host, Joe Labate. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Jordan, Chelsea, and Susie, for helping me put the show together. Jordan, let's get down to the starting line, and I'll tell everybody what they're going to see tonight on the show. Starting line is, of course, brought to you by Motion Pro. For all your tools, cables, and controls, be sure to visit Motion Pro online. In the next time try this segment, I'm going to tell you how to mount a front fender nice and straight. In the Moto Showcase, got a real nice Poltaco sent in to us by Phil Agapio. We'll be telling you more about that a little bit later in the show. And here's the problem segment. How do you get your axle 100% accurate on your bike? We'll tell you how to do that. In the What's It Worth segment, a 1976 RM370 that recently sold on eBay, a mostly original bike. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments on what you think it sold for. I'll be telling you about it. Don't forget, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, keep sharing the show. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to comment AMSOIL. We'll have a random share giveaway winner a little bit later on in the show. But keep sharing it, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. Of course, our YouTube channel is rolling right along. You can subscribe to it, and you can listen to all the Vintage Motocross Q&A shows that we've done, and you can also listen to all the interviews that we've done on Vintage Motocross Radio. So please subscribe. You'll get a little alert like that. Tells you when we're live on YouTube. And how are the experts watching the show? They're sitting back in front of their large screen TV. They're watching it in HD, and they're using their phone to comment. So that's the new professional way to watch Vintage Motocross Q&A. Put it up on your big screen TV, sit back with your phone, you can comment, you can enjoy the show that way. I want to thank our sponsors, Motion Pro, Vinco, Full Circle Racing, Preston Petty Products, Racer X, AMSOIL, and of course, Northwest Mako CZ. And the next time try this segment tonight, which is brought to you by Vinco, I want to talk to you about how to mount a front fender on your bike. Now, a few weeks ago, I gave you a little tip on using transfer screws. 6mm screws you made to a point where you put them on the side of your bike and you can mark the back of your number plate. It's in an area where you can't get behind it and maybe mark it. So that was a little tip I gave you. It works real well. Tonight, I want to talk to you about mounting a front fender like this. You may buy one from Preston Petty. It's going to be undrilled. It's going to be a little difficult to get that fender drilled accurately if you don't have the old fender from your bike. But here's a little trick that I use sometimes. I want to tell you a little bit more about it. What I do is I take 2 Allen heads, 6mm, just like this, okay? And I cut them down nice and short. And with that wrench, I turn that Allen screw up into the triple clamp and I can make it nice and flush. Then I make transfer points like this out of a 6 millimeter, out of like what that end of that wrench is, okay? I cut a little bit off there, make a point on it with a little dab of grease in all 4 of those points. I push those little transfer points up in there. At this point, what you're gonna need maybe is another set of helping hands. You have somebody at your house or a friend coming over, you've got everything all lined up there with the transfer screws and the points. You wanna make sure your fender now is straight on your bike. Also, take a look at it from the side. You don't wanna have it sitting too far back when you go to turn sometimes. I've seen it happen where the rear of the fender hits the pipe. So make sure the pipe is on your bike before you mount the fender. Once you get your buddy to have that fender up there nice and straight, left to right, front to back, you can give a little tap on each one of those transfer points. And when you take that fender down, you're going to have 4 marks on that fender right where you can drill your holes. It's going to be perfectly straight every time, the same way you see it right here on this YZ. And that's how you get a fender on the front of your bike nice and straight. I want to thank Vinco for being a sponsor of this segment. Vinco, keep the ride going. In the Moto Showcase tonight, which is sponsored by Preston Petty Products, we've got a really nice Bultaco that was sent in to us by Phil Agapio. It's a 72 250 Model 86. I'm going to read to you just a little bit about it, and it's really kind of interesting. Phil tells us that this was a special dealer-installed kit bike. It was purchased from Steve's Bultaco in Van Nuys, California, originally, and then Phil actually brought the bike from the original owner. It had a GP gas tank, an aftermarket pipe, a thicker seat kit, and a reworked cylinder. The funny thing is that someone actually saw Phil at a race and he had a Bultaco tattoo on his arm. The person who owned this bike asked Phil about his love for Bultacos, and next thing you know, they put a deal together on this bike. Phil races it, takes pictures of it for the show here. As you can see, it's a little dirty in this picture. And he said he'd be really thrilled to have Preston Petty autograph the bike for him. So, Phil Agapio, I want to thank you for sending in this very unusual Bultaco this week. Please send me your address, and I'll make sure that you get a nice little gift from Vintage Motocross Q&A and Preston Petty Products. Preston Petty Products. You hear me mention them every week. They've been around for so long now. Paul Stannard, of course, had revived that company in 2016. So for number plates, lighting, fenders, grips, t-shirts, hats, there's a load of stuff that Paul has available for you. Be sure to visit them online at PrestonPettyProducts.com. They're on Facebook. They have a website, and you'll also find them on Instagram. Paul Stannard, thank you for all you do here for us at Vintage Motocross Q&A. And here's the problem segment tonight, which is sponsored by Motion Pro. We'll take a look at a couple of your questions and hopefully shed some light and give you some answers to what's going on out there. Jordan, what do we have up first? Jeff Christopher, what's with all the specialty lubricants for cables, chains, etc.? Wouldn't WD-40 be the way to go for most everything on a bike? No, it wouldn't. While WD-40 is handy and many of us use it in the shop for little lubricating needs, it's not really the be-all and the end-all for lubricants on motorcycles. WD, which originally stood for water displacement, was created in San Diego in 1958. It's really handy to have around in the shop. It's great to have in your house as well. You have a squeaky hinge on a door, you spray a little WD-40 on it, things are really good. Now, the thing about WD-40 is it will cut grease, it will cut oil, it has kerosene in it. So when you go to, say, lubricate a chain with it, you're not really lubricating that chain. What you're doing is you're cutting off the old oil, you're cutting off old grease that might be on there, and it's going to look real nice and shiny for the moment, but it's not going to last very long. WD-40 evaporates, and it's more of a temporary lubricant than it is a cleaner. The same thing goes when you use it in your cables. It's a wonderful way to clean out your cables on your bike. You take the cable off, you get your WD-40, spray it down into the housing, go back and forth with that cable a few times, you're going to get everything nice and clean. After that, you want to use a quality lubricant, something that is made for chains, something that is made for cables. The viscosity of all lubricants is very, very important, and it's not the same. You don't want to use the same thickness of an oil or a lubricant on your chain as you do on a cable. So as handy as WD-40 is, Jeff, it really isn't the be-all and the end-all as far as a lubricant goes. Great for cleaning, great around the house, great around the shop when you've got something that's a little sticky, but it's not something that you want to use on your bike long-term for lubricating cables and chains. Great question. What do we got next, Jordan? Glenn Lewis, I have a 79 Honda CR250, and the marks on the chain adjusters and the swing arm don't seem to be equal. What's the best way to ensure my wheel is aligned correctly? Over the years, sometimes they wear off on the swing arm, or they wear off. There's these little hash marks, for lack of a better word, that are on your chain adjusters, and sometimes they get replaced. When people replace them, they don't replace it with the same model. You can't see it. So when you go to adjust your chain, you're basically relying on your eye and how smoothly the chain goes around on your sprockets to know whether or not that axle is actually sitting perfectly across your swing arm. On some bikes like Mako's, you'll see chain adjusters that are like here on the left, except they don't have that little T-bar that goes across it. And the other ones on the right, if they're aftermarket, they don't have marks on them. The best way to ensure that you have your axle 100% accurate on both sides, while this may be a little extreme, it is the best way to do it. You want to measure from the center of your swing arm pivot to the center of your axle. Now, whether you do that with a tape measure or any kind of, you could even use string if you had it measured correctly, but a tape measure is really, really the way to go. You want to make sure that it's equal on both sides. So you're going to take a measurement from the left side, from the center of the swing arm pivot, back to the center of the axle, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Then you're going to tighten everything up. When you do that, your wheel should spin without a problem, obviously, and your chain should be nice and straight on your sprocket as well. You have to go from two true points, and the only two true points on your bike really is that swing arm bolt going through the center of your bike. Good question, Len. I hope that helps. We're going to take a commercial break. Please remember to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook and if you're on YouTube. Comment AMSOIL. We're going to have a random share giveaway. We're going to do something a little bit different. The random share giveaway is going to be announced on our Facebook page tomorrow, but there is going to be a winner, and we will announce it. Somebody's going to get a nice mug like this and probably a couple of little products, compliments of AMSOIL. So keep sharing the show, and you'll know tomorrow when you go to the page who tonight's random share giveaway winner was. Let's take that commercial break, Jordan.
Hello everyone, Brandon here with Motion Pro, bringing you the Trick New Pro Plug sockets from Motion Pro. The Pro Plug sockets are a very clever design. They're heavy tool steel construction for durability. They feature a slim skeleton design for hard to reach heads and cylinders, and they feature a really innovative retention system. This retention system is mechanical and it's not a rubber grommet, so you're never going to battle between the spark plug and the socket. So the socket is always going to be easy and firm to attach to the spark plug, but also it's going to be easy to remove. So you're not going to have to go fishing in those deep well heads to get that socket out. Now the socket features a couple of different drive components. You can use a 17 mil open end wrench, a 3/8 drive socket, as well as a through axle, right? So you've got a couple of different ways you can use this product. Now we have these available in 3 different sizes. And those 3 different sizes are 16, 18, and 21, available to fit most model motorcycles, V-twin as well as metric. Retail starts at $21.99 up to $22.99, available from your favorite retailer nationwide.
In the What's It Worth segment tonight, which is brought to you by Full Circle Racing Limited, we'll be telling you about a special from Full Circle in just a moment. But what's it worth? We're going to be taking a look at a 1976 RM370 that recently sold on eBay. The bike was mostly original, and I'd like to know what you think. So in the comments section, why don't you type in there what you think this bike was sold for recently? It did sell on December 16th. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the bike as Jordan goes through the slides. This bike is one of the best open class bikes I've ever ridden. It jumps straight, it turns great, it has a very well balanced and stable chassis. It has the original shocks with the original KYB stickers on them. These were usually worn off after the first day of riding. The alignment sticker is still on the lower fork leg, and that's still there. It has the original fork protectors. The engine still has the 1000cc oil sticker on the right clutch cover. The bike is very low hours. It has the original front fender, side panels, and gas tank, which have some light touch-up work to them. The rear fender, front number plate, and seat cover have been changed. The bike was sitting in a basement for 30 years. It runs excellent, and it's a 44-year-old dirt bike. You should expect to see some things on it that aren't 100% perfect, but everything works as it should. It has amazing power, and I absolutely love riding the bike. So this bike was sold on eBay, as I mentioned, on 12/16/2020. How much did it sell for? What's that? $3,300. $3,300. I thought that was a smoking good deal on a bike that had a short run from Suzuki. I just think 76 and 77 were the RM 370 models where they went to the 478. So 3,300 for a 370 RM Suzuki. Full Circle Racing. I love Tom McAllister. He does a great job on all my rims here, supplies me with spokes, nipples, and everything I need, and he can do the same thing for you, including a service that they offer, which is powder coating hubs. So clean them, disassemble, blast them, mask them, and powder coat them for just $50 a hub. For just $10 more each wheel, he'll do the backing plate as well. This is, of course, for gloss black and matte. For just $20 more, a one-time fee, he'll make them any color you want. So for modern bikes, vintage bikes, spokes, nipples, lacing, and truing, you want to see Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing. And in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be having a special coming up again, like we've ran in the past, where Tom runs something special for the viewers here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you, Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing Limited, for all you do for us here on the show. The RM370 I was just talking about was posted on the Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide page. That is my page on Facebook. I started about 6 years ago. There are over 16,000 members there. There are results from auctions, private sales, as well as people posting bikes there to discuss the value of them only. It is not a place to buy and sell parts. It's not a place to buy and sell bikes. You just post your bike there along with a description, 4, 5, 6 quality pictures, and you'll get some honest feedback from people who've been buying, selling bikes a long time about the value of your bike. Last week on the show, we had a 74 CR250 Honda. People were saying it was worth $5,000 to $6,000. The bike worth $5,000. So there's a lot of good people there with a lot of respectful answers. Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide page. Come over and join us. In the product spotlight tonight. The product spotlight is sponsored by Northwest Mako CZ, and I'm going to be telling you about a really nice product that they have for sale for you CZ guys. It is a plastic airbox assembly. It includes the filter stem. It is plastic. They come in black. They come in white. And he's also got a CZ twin filter there for just $32.95. So $69.95 on the airbox, $32.95 on the filter. Get your bike breathing right with all the parts you need from Northwest Mako CZ. Alan Brown, thank you for all you do for us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Get over to Northwest Mako CZ. Check out their website. They've got other products there too, not just stuff for Makos and CZs, some other things that may come in very handy at great prices for people who ride other brands, not just Mako and CZ. Thanks, Alan. We are going to take another commercial break. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, don't forget, comment AMSOIL. We'll have a random share giveaway winner that we will announce on our Facebook page tomorrow. Jordan, let's see what this commercial looks like.
Classic and vintage dirt bikes are more than a hobby. It's not just about the ride. It's about the work that goes in. The work that keeps you connected to the ride. It's about bringing the bike back to life and doing it with your own hands. It's about the adrenaline and adventure. And when it comes to putting all the pieces together, only Vinco knows the bikes and parts the way you do. Vinco, keep the ride going.
This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by Racer X. Racer X magazine, perhaps the finest motocross magazine on your newsstand now. It's also available online. Don't forget to look for our ad in next month's edition of Racer X. So, this week in motocross history, Jordan, what happened? It was 1983. Hanna and Bailey go 1-2 on the first night of the Seattle Kingdom doubleheader. Team Honda's Bob Hanna and David Bailey went 1-2 ahead of Kawasaki riders Jeff Ward and Suzuki-backed Alan King. 1983, of course, was a powerhouse year for Honda with Johnny O'Mara, David Bailey, Ron Lachine, and Bob Hanna on that team. It was a great night, and two of my favorite riders to watch at any time, of course, were Bailey and Hanna, although Bailey and Johnson put on some great displays as well. What happened else? What else happened there, Jordan? In 1984, Jeff Ward wins his first race. Future Motorcycle Hall of Fame inductee Jeff Ward wins his first AMA Supercross main event at the Seattle Kingdom. Ward topped Johnny O'Mara, who won his first AMA Supercross at the previous round. Both Ward and O'Mara would go on to win the AMA Supercross Championship, O'Mara in 84, Ward in 85, and in 87. Finishing third was the veteran Bob Hurricane Hanna. So that was in 1984. Jeff Ward wins his first Supercross. We've got some announcements for you tonight. Jordan, what do we have up first on the list? Next week, Sunday, at 11 a.m., my guest will be Bill Cervera. Bill Cervera, you know his first name, Bill, from Bill's Pipes. He's been around a long time, and he is going to be my guest on Vintage Motocross Radio this coming Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, as I just said. Bill is a fascinating character to speak to, and I was on the phone with him a few times, and he began to tell me about him and two of his friends that were in their younger days. So they were friends like before this big thing hit. And he started to tell me about a guy building pipes and another guy who had an interest in paint. And next thing you know, we're talking about Troy Lee and Mitch Payton. And we're going to be talking about them. And of course, Bill's long history with building pipes in the industry. This Sunday, 11 a.m. Please join me at Vintage Motocross Radio. And you can take Vintage Motocross Radio with you anywhere you go now, because we are now on different podcasts. So you don't really have to be on Facebook or on YouTube to listen to the show. So whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcast, Breaker, Castbox, or any of the other ones, we're on 8 different podcast channels right now. So you can tune in, and we've got most of our interviews listed on there right now. I think we're up to about 15 or 16. But as time goes on, we'll have them all on there. You'll be able to enjoy them all anytime, anywhere you go, because you'll have it on your podcast. You want to race at one of the most famous tracks ever, and you want to do it on your vintage bike. What are the chances of that happening? They are excellent. Tuesday, March 9th, you'll be able to race your vintage motocross bike on the infield of where the Supercross will be held the Saturday before. So if you're going down to Florida for Bike Week, or you're going down to watch the Supercross, you might want to bring your vintage bikes with you. There's 34 different classes. There's going to be all types of racing there, from the vintage guys all the way up into the evolution years. Get your bike, go down to Florida. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You need to register now, though. Register quickly, because that's coming up on Tuesday, March 9th at Daytona. There's a national. It's coming up. And it's a pretty big event, too, this White Lightning event. It's for 3 days, March 12th, 13th, and 14th, just around the corner. It is at Silverhawk Plantation in Buffalo, South Carolina. Motion Pro is a sponsor of it. It is an AHRMA event. You might want to get down there to one of those disciplines. Cross-country, motocross trials, they've got it all. White Lightning in the Carolinas coming up. Who's ready to scramble? Tammy and Ralph Greenhill are. They've been scrambling for decades now. And they've got a great event coming up at Glen Helen. That is on Sunday, February 28th. That's coming up real quick, so you might want to get ready for that. You know what the great thing is? Rod Lake Racing pays for all the kids to ride for free. So kids ride free at the Old School Scrambles event. That is on the truck track. So for your vintage bike guys, you don't have to worry about taking on that crazy terrain at Glen Helen. It's on the truck track. Get down there. Tammy and Ralph Greenhill, great people. There's also an event coming up, the Motocross Estates, coming up at Shady Brook Golf Club in Sumterville, Florida. That is on February 20th and 21st. I've been hearing about this event. I've heard about it over the years. They put on a real nice show down there. So if you can't make one of those other events and you're down in the Southeast, maybe the MX Estates is for you. Check them out online. Vintage Motocross Q&A t-shirts and hoodies are still available. T-shirts are available in white and gray, the logo across the front, and it's got my autograph across the back, just $19.99 for the t-shirt. Follow the description and the show, and you'll be able to get over there, and you'll see how much the hoodies go for, too. Just $19.99 for the t-shirts. And send in a picture of yourself wearing a t-shirt or the hoodie. Make sure you have pants on when you send the picture in. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are still available. Talk about this every week, and it's been going really, really well. We've had sponsors on the show now for over a year. They're seeing the benefits. So can you. Last week, after the show was over, I go look at the stats every day after the show. There were so many people reached because so many people share the show and watch it afterward. It's absolutely incredible. We're reaching over 20,000 people a week, usually just one day after. It's usually 7,000 to 9,000 people that have viewed the show or have been reached to watch it. So if you've got a business on Facebook, you're just starting out, or you want to get the word out to the crowd that's watching this show, this would be a real good place to start showing your product. I'd be happy to do it for you. Give me an inbox message. Let me know what you have in mind. We'll put a budget together for you and get you up here on the board with some of our other sponsors. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities. Time is now. I want to thank you all for watching the show tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to join me on Sunday, where my guest will be Bill Severa from Bill's Pipes. And thank you, Jordan, Chelsea, Susie, and everyone who watches the show. Don't forget to keep sharing it, and don't forget to support our sponsors. They really make this show happen. Have a good evening, everyone. Thanks for watching. Gino! Gino! Hang on, don't shut the snow down. Gino! Come on, Gino! Come on, Gino! Come on, Gene! Come on! Slow down!